confronted ever more with the consequences. So you can even see in sort of daily newspaper the end is in sight for a lot of structures that were historically building up the Randstad area. For instance, the water system. This is just an article about a dike that suddenly gave way. Actually not being because there was too much water, but because there's too little water. In the summer period, the dike dried out and was pushed aside. Of course, this is a relatively innocent example, but it serves as a warning. And you can also see it, for instance, in the way traditional agriculture is able to sustain pressure against sort of autonomous urbanizing principles. So all of these little towns each grow and eat up together every day the size of the Central Park of Amsterdam continuously. And we don't know where it goes to. And most notably, of course, one of the major problems in the Randstad area is the problem of almost limited congestion. And in that congestion, it needs to be said, because primarily of the morphology of the Randstad area, a car takes in a very important role. So if you see the division of the modes of transport from 1960 to 2000, you see that almost everything stayed stable except for the explosive growth of car usage. Okay, now the government and governance system that is in place in planning the Randstad is quite sort of complexly organized. There are at least 3 governmental levels, and maybe we can say even 6 if we count also the EU and the lower working together of different municipalities, but 3 formal sort of administrative levels. A very highly centralized taxing system, so almost 90% of all taxes is brought in through the state. This again is spent in a very sectorally devised financial organization, so either it's spent on infrastructure or it's spent on housing or etc. etc. Very strong subdivisions between them. But on the other hand, a very strong local autonomy in urban planning. So in land use planning, it is really on the lowest level. Recently, a process of decentralization was set forward mainly because of the state wanting to push down more responsibilities to the lower levels. But at the same time, a new planning law was put into place, which has actually led to other types of organization. And I will just run through the different scale levels that we have, which is connected with that. So, first of all, of course, the Netherlands, Randstad being here with the 4 major cities. The Netherlands, there are at least 4 departments which actively are involved in planning the Netherlands. So, transport, economic affairs, agriculture, and housing and spatial planning separately. So each of them separately, looking at the Randstad area, each of them are, since the new planning law, obliged to make a vision document, so what is ahead, and at the same time statutory plans of what is important on the level of the nation, what needs to be implemented. Then we have the provinces, 12 in the Netherlands. In the Randstad consists of 4 provinces. For them, same. They need to make a vision document and they need to say what is very important to them and make statutory plans for that. So, this is an example of the South Holland vision plan. And then on the lowest local scale level, the municipal level, within the Randstad, more than 100. So I would say it's more or less like the district level as it is here. And each of them, again, are obliged to make a vision plan, say what's important for them, and bring it down to the land use plan. But there's no formal governing body responsible for the metropolitan Randstad scale. So for this intermediate scale, there is no formal way. Because actually the Randstad only exists by name. And also it's very difficult, there's hardly any combined knowledge on this skill level. And of course there are processes that are starting to happen to sort of change that. Maybe just to give you an idea of the scale, so the Randstad, over 100 municipalities, the distance between Rotterdam and Amsterdam is about 60 kilometers. I think somewhat sort of same distance as Kaohsiung and Tainan, somewhat sort of 60 kilometers. So very close to each other. And then The Hague and Utrecht also very closely packed. And one of the ways of dealing with the sort of larger scale levels is the institution of what's called city regions. 4 of them are organized around the 4 major cities. They take care of transport planning. And in the Randstad, on the other hand, also the division of the North Wing and the South Wing is installed as a way of channeling new investments by the state. And this is actually one of the most powerful ways of working on this metropolitan level. There's a coming together of a biannual meeting of administrators to ask themselves what should we invest in these 2 parts. And of course the state makes use of the fact that it cut up the Randstad into 2, having sort of competition going on between the 2 wings. But finally I want to also look into the possibility of other ways of addressing the skill of the Randstad, most notably more or less informal ways of doing it. So, in recent years, an association of a large group of parties started to work together, and these are not only the slide is wrong, but these are not only public bodies, so the cities are organized within them, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, all of the big cities, but also a coalition between private enterprises and let's say more civic organizations. It's content-driven coalitions. And one of the things the 2 things that are being done at that moment is it constructs a platform of discussion, and it serves as a laboratory for installing new ideas, of articulating new challenges. And I will just show a couple of slides of things which are going on at the moment. So this is the current railway system in the Randstad with all of the stations and the new high-speed rail line connecting Rotterdam, Amsterdam to Paris. And this is not only a railway system, but it's also a system which connects the different parts of the Randstad. Within the direct vicinity, when you look at this map, almost half of the urbanized fabric lies in the direct vicinity of one of these stations. It was not only until the moment that we drew this map that we realized that this system is there and it's actually not used up to the most. So there is a process which is going on at the moment which looks at intensifying land use in all of these nodes. And this setting forward an intensity in frequency in mobility. But of course this doesn't happen by itself. So there are all kinds of ways why it doesn't happen. It's knowledge which is not there. It is not, there's no idea of the articulation of the challenges. So within this sort of informal setting, there is a possibility to exchange this knowledge. So this is a process which is going on at the moment. There's a database being formed of all of these stations, and it's being shown where new developments are currently already going on. Around 20% of all of these station areas is changing. But into what? So new ideas of what kind of urban fabric can fit where along the line is put forward, and last but most notably, I would say, there's also the institution of recognizing which people, which stakeholders are involved in this process, and starting to try out by means of new technologies like this one to see the way forward. So this is an example of a serious game which was built around this subject, which is played over and over with different types of stakeholders, with different types of administrators, in order to envision what are the possibilities of this larger scale level. So maybe I leave it at